the harmful results of unrealistic expectations. Our expectations shape our actions, they shape how we feel, our emotions, and also our relationships, and our expectations shape our results. We need to have high standards of excellence. Every one of us should want to be awesome and excellent at everything, but if we have unrealistic expectations, we can be harming ourselves. We're going to go in this video over what unrealistic and unhealthy expectations will do, and then we're also going to be talking about how we can set realistic and positive and expectations that drive us. So the very first thing I want to say is we need to learn how to set healthy expectations. That means achievable, realistic goals that will benefit yourself, they'll benefit other people, they're going to be helping you. And if we set realistic ones that are achievable again and realistic, it's going to be helping us a lot. Well, the very first thing I want to do is talk about why do people get into setting unrealistic expectations. One of the reasons is perfectionism. Perfectionism is not good. We all make mistakes. There's not one person that is ever perfect. You're not perfect, I'm not perfect, we all make mistakes. And if you expect to be perfect right off the bat and you set that as an expectation, you're going to crash and burn. Set, I'm going to be excellent. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to give it my all. Now that you can do. But perfectionism is a trap. Anything less than perfect is a failure. Don't set yourself up. Another reason that people fail is comparing themselves to others or comparing themselves to unrealistic expectations. So I want you to think about someone else that you maybe admire. So there's someone maybe on social media, it looks like they have it all together. And you know what? They don't. I can tell you, I have been coaching, training, working with top producers in every industry for decades now, for a long time. Everyone has problems. Everyone makes mistakes. So don't compare yourself to what people put out as their image. Like they look the ideal weight all the time. They look perfect. They sound perfect. They never make mistakes. They have the perfect family. No one's perfect. So don't compare yourself to others and set up unrealistic social standards, so to speak. How about being lack of aware of really what your limits are, awareness, so to speak, but are you aware of the reality of your own personal limits? Or do you say, I can go 24/7? No one goes 24/7. We all need to sleep. We all need to recharge. Set some realistic limits. What about limits on software? Sometimes we think software can do something and it can't. If we have unrealistic expectations of software because we don't know the limits, we're hurting ourselves. Or how about other people? What if we don't know their limits? What if we don't know the resources? Maybe we don't have the financial resources. Know what your limits are, and then you can set realistic expectations. How about controlling issues? You know what? Trying to force a specific outcome rather than adapting can set yourself up for really disappointment. So you know what? You need to know what issues you might be facing, but you can't control everything. You can't control the weather. You can't control whether the stock market crashes. You can't control who's in the White House, who's not in the White House. There's about 1 million things, and it's actually more than that. It's unlimited of what we can't control. But what you can control, again, setting realistic expectations, is I can control my response. So again, understand there's a lot of things you can't control, so don't expect you can. So let me kind of transition into how you can harm yourself with unrealistic expectations. Then we're going to be talking about how you can harm others and your relationship with others. But let's talk about for you personally right off the bat. Do you know that if you expect yourself to never be down or discouraged or hit a wall, I don't care how good you do, you're always going to be disappointed. So if you set unrealistic expectations, you're disappointing yourself. You're just not going to feel good enough ever. When you may be compared to anyone else, again, you shouldn't compare yourself to others, but compared to how you were, where you are, you may be doing awesome, and yet you never feel good enough. What a terrible way to live life. That's not fun. How about the stress and anxiety that comes, and the stress and anxiety when you set unrealistic expectation can hurt your health? Do you know that if you really are not hitting your financial goals or your business goals or your relationship goals, but they're unrealistic, that's affecting not just that particular item, it's also affecting your health. It's affecting everything about you personally. So learn how to set realistic expectations. What about fear of making mistakes? Do you know that it's unrealistic that you should ever think you're not going to make mistakes and you're never going to fail? And see, to me, failure and not getting the result is not failure. I don't even think of that as failure. It's like, yeah, I made a mistake or it didn't work out the right way. I've had to learn how to program myself that way, because I used to, when I would make a mistake, I would beat myself up. I'd feel so terrible. It would be bad. But now it's like, that's just a mistake. But what happens for you when you make a mistake? Do you learn from it? Do you grow? Well, you should. But if you think that, you're not going to make one and you set it up, that's unrealistic. But if you go, no, I can learn from every mistake and I can get better, that's setting yourself up for success, not failure. As long as you learn from something, you're not failing. That's a great definition. I only fail if I quit. If I quit on something that is really, really important to me and it's going to help other people and help us or our family, and I quit, that's failure. As long as I don't quit, I don't fail. As long as I don't learn something, or if I don't learn something, then I fail. As long as I learn something, I look at it as success, so I can't even fail. You know what? You can lose your own self-worth if you set unrealistic expectations. So you know what? You might be tying your own identity to not making mistakes. Your own self-worth. It's like, wait a minute. You're worth $1 gazillion more. You can't pay a price for you. Yet no one can pay enough for your value. And if you really look at the Bible, Jesus loved you so much, he paid the ultimate sacrifice so you can have success and have a relationship with God. Well, you know what? He thought of you and thinks of you that way. God loves you. You should not let unrealistic expectations really affect your identity and who and how you think about yourself. If you set unrealistic expectations, you also can get burnt out. So, and I've done this. Have you ever said, I'm going to work like 10 straight hours without a break? Do you know what? You're going to run out of energy if you put out a lot of energy doing that 10 hours in a row. And I've done that. And I've done that consistently for a while until you get burnt out. And you're like, I don't like this anymore. That's unrealistic to keep that going all the time. You can have certain days maybe in certain seasons when you work more than others, but that wouldn't be realistic and you're harming yourself. Well, I'm going to transition over right now to how unrealistic expectations can hurt other people. Do you know that if you set unrealistic expectations on others, it hurts that relationship? Because now they feel like they're not good enough, they don't even want to be around you. In that person's eyes, I'm never doing enough. Who wants to be around someone that they feel like they're always less than? It hurts that relationship. You don't feel appreciated. You don't feel respected or valued. So don't set unrealistic expectations. I'm saying this a lot. I can tell I'm struggling with the word. I'm saying it so much, but you know what? Of other people, because that's going to really hurt your relationship. What about how it's going to harm your relationship in the trust area? You know what? People will not think you trust them if they're always falling short. They don't really trust I'm going to get it done. And you know what? They're not going to let you down. If they feel that, they're probably not going to live up to great expectations because you're setting them so high, they're always unachievable, that they're just going to give up and they're going to feel like they're never enough. They're going to be demotivated. They're going to become emotionally distant from you. They're going to not want to even be around you. I'm telling you, if you set unrealistic expectations for other people, it harms that relationship in so many different ways. It also hurts their own productivity. And that's not why people do it. You may be leading a team right now. In this team, you want them to do more, be more, so you get more out. Maybe they don't produce at the level that you want. Well, set good expectations, stretch goals that they have to push to get to. But if they're not realistic, if they're so far they never hit them, do you know that you're actually shooting yourself in the foot and you're not going to have as much productivity? You're actually going to be losing productivity. So let's kind of transition again to another aspect of this. How do we recognize when let me transition again. How do we recognize when expectations are unrealistic? How do you start to recognize that? First off, you need to measure them. You need to set some SMART goals. If you're not measuring, how do you know if you're ever hitting them? So start measuring them so you'll know if they're realistic. And we use, when we're setting goals, the SMART acronym, and the M stands for measurable. The S is specific. The M is measurable. But if you're not measuring them, how do you know if you're going to hit them? How do you know if they're realistic? Do you allow flexibility in your expectations? You know, as we teach on goals many times, we say goals should be written in pencil. You know why? A pencil has an eraser. You can erase that goal and write in a new one. You need to have flexibility in your goals, and when you do, you can allow for growth. Because again, we're all growing. We're all changing. We should be growing, I should say. Sometimes when we feel so down and discouraged, like we never can measure up, we're not growing. We're staying stuck. So when you set realistic expectations, people can grow and you can grow. And here's another way you can recognize if you're doing it right. Are you feeling frustrated easily when things don't go exactly as you plan? You know what? Most people don't hit their goals or their visions right off the bat. In fact, most goals need to be changed. That's why they need to be in pencil. But if you expect them to go perfect every time, I think you're setting yourself up for a lot of misery and a lot of failure. Because most of the time, they don't go the way you think. We do this with marketing. We do a lot of marketing in our companies. In our companies, you know, we measure our marketing, we track it. Most of the marketing we do does not produce the results we want right off the bat. You keep tweaking it, you keep measuring it, you keep adjusting it until you keep improving a little bit here and a little bit there till you get there. Okay, so let's transition to the last part of this. How do you set healthy expectations? You aim for progress, not perfectionism. Progress should be your goal. Remember when I talked about don't try to be perfect, you're not going to be perfect? Don't set that as your goal. But progress. Always get better, like that marketing I was just mentioning. A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better results. Your split testing, pretty soon your marketing is producing what you want it to produce. That should be your expectation. Progress, not perfection. Focus on getting better. Another thing is communicate clearly. Make sure that others understand what's expected and why it's expected. And I will tell you, sometimes I've thought I've given great instructions, and sometimes I think I do, but at other times it's not clear. Maybe the other person wasn't listening well. Maybe their mind was somewhere else, or maybe I communicated it very poorly. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But make sure that you communicate your expectations very clearly, and then the other person buys in on it. Because if they don't buy into that expectation, and they don't know why you are setting that expectation, they may not buy into it if they don't know why. But if they don't agree to it, they can go, well, I never really thought I would do that anyway. Make sure that you talk about it and they go, yep, I can do that. I'm setting this expectation. I believe it. Then you're going to have a lot better chance of hitting it. And you need to practice self-compassion. compassion. That means be nice to yourself. Treat yourself with kindness. And I coach people that have been so mean to themselves. They're saying, I'm learning how to treat myself with kindness. And I love that. You know what? I've had to learn how to be nicer to myself because I set such high expectations when I first got into business. And if I blew it, I would beat myself up for a month. I would be my worst critic. I'd be so hard on me. You know, that's terrible. Well, you know what? Give yourself some kindness. Give yourself a break. You know, God gives us grace. He gives us mercy. Give yourself that. Learn also how to celebrate the small victories, the small wins. Make sure that you address that. You feed what is working. Feed what you want to see keep growing, and it will grow. Starve all the things you're doing wrong. Learn from them. Don't do them again. But feed what you want to see that's growing, and you're always going to be getting better. So acknowledge your progress. So let me recap everything that I've been talking about. Unrealistic expectations can harm you. They can harm others around you. They can harm your own personal growth, your team's growth. So learn how to set realistic expectations. Ask better questions. Think about it. Make sure they're achievable. They're realistic. They're flexible so you can change them. Make sure that they're healthy. And when you focus on progress and not being perfect, you're going to see a lot more progress and a lot better results. So I hope you found this training very beneficial. Please share it with someone if you think it's going to benefit them, if they're setting unrealistic expectations. If they're being really hard on you or others, share it. And if you like this training or want to have more trainings, subscribe to our channel and we will let you know when more trainings are coming out. And as we wrap it up, remember this, to expect success. Thanks, everyone.